All right, let's say you're at a carnival and your significant other wins you a goldfish. So you bring it home and now you need to know what to do with it. Well, here are the first things you need to know. First, what kind of tank you're going to want. There are many different sizes of tanks, and what size tank you need depends on, one, how many fish you're going to have, and two, what type of fish. If you're going to keep just that one goldfish that you got at the carnival, then probably a little one of those itty bitty little fish bowls is just fine for you. If you'd like to get more fish after that, you're probably going to need a bigger tank. With goldfish, a probably 5-gallon tank, if you're just getting goldfish, would probably be big enough for a few of those. But if you're going to want something bigger, I recommend getting a bigger tank. And it's good to note, if you get the bigger tank, you get the bigger the fish are going to get. So if you have goldfish in the tank and you get one of the bigger tanks, that goldfish is going to get pretty big. It's also important to know how big your tank is and remember how big it is, for if there are any times you have to add things to help for the water care or anything to help with treatment for any diseases the fish might need. You need to know how big your tank is to be able to know how much treatment to put in for them. In trying to find decorations, the most important thing to think of is first the bottom of the tank. There has to be something down there, whether it's rocks or sand, because that's what they're used to. Most fish, if you've got bottom feeders in there, they prefer rocks, just either rocks or the decorative glass beads. That way, those are easier for them to get into and clean the extra food around. If you've got a snail, snails prefer sand. So if you're going to have a snail, put sand down there for him. Also, it's important to take into consideration if any of your fish like to hide, to have places for them to hide. That's something to research with the type of fish you're going to keep. It's also good to research what type of plants they like. If they prefer live plants, it's better to have those, or if they're okay with the synthetic kind as well. Some examples of the synthetic kind, I have this right here, or these, and you can find stuff like this at any of the pet stores around. Some examples of fish that you can have that are easy for beginners to take care of are tetras, let's see, Danio's platies, guppies, coolie loach, cherry barbs, firemouths, cichlids, pearl gouramis, tiger plecos, cory catfish, mollies, swordtails, betas, and glowfish. Got some pictures here as examples of each of these. I don't know if you can see it very well on my phone. I would have printed these out, but having a little trouble with my printer lately. So, and these bottom ones right here, those are glowfish. I don't know if you can see the neon color very well. Glowfish are genetically altered fish that are altered so that they have a neon color, and if you put a blue light in there or a black light, they will glow neon. One of the most important things to remember is what type of food the fish will like. Many fish are okay with flake type foods. This is for regular. Mollies love this, and then there's a special blend for glowfish to help them keep their glow colors. There's also, for bottom feeders, pellet formulas. This one is shrimp based for bottom feeders and great for plecos and things like that. There's also algae wafers for any fish that like to eat algae at the bottom. When you're going on vacation, it is recommended that rather than try and get someone else to feed your fish, if you're going to get someone else, only put out enough for however much they're going to need to feed them each time they feed them. Otherwise, they might get overfed, and that could harm the fish if they have too much. But if you're going to go on vacation, you can also use automatic feeders. Or if you're not going to be gone for that long, if you're only going to be gone for a couple of days, just leave the fish and they'll be fine. It is also recommended that if you have fish that are 3 months or younger, these are called juvenile fish, it is recommended that they have 6 small meals a day throughout the day, and those meals can include just any algae they find growing around the tank. Diseases to look out for first are the ones caused by just stress. If they have their fin on their back, if that's down against their body a lot, that's usually a sign of stress. Also, if you see little spots on them, white spots that resemble sand or salt, and they're gasping at the water's surface, that is usually a sign of stress as well. The best things to do for these two are to check the water quality and then to treat with something called Ick Guard or another brand such as this Jungle Ick Clear to help with that. They also are susceptible to parasites. Some parasites that they may get are anchor worms, body gill flukes, lice, gill mites, dropsy, ragged tail fin, and mouth rot. Actually, those are bacterial issues. Those three. But the gill mites, the lice, the body and gill flukes, and the anchor worms are all parasites. If they get those, the best thing to do for that, there are a couple things. You can either do a saltwater bath, or you can do an iodine bath for 5 minutes a day until all the parasites fall off. The bacterial infections include dropsy, ragged tail fin, and mouth rot. For these, the best thing to do if you notice that they have any of these is to use something called TetraGuard. Is a brand that is very good for that. Just something that is made to treat bacterial infections. That'll help them a lot with that. They also may get a fungal infection. You can tell a fungal infection if they've got gray or whitish growth along their scales. The treatment for that is also the Tetra LifeGuard. The big disease to look out for with fish is hemorrhagic septicemia. You can tell if they've got bulging eyes or bloated abdomens or bruised-looking reddish tint to their eyes, skin, and gills, and their fins, and they've got open sores on their bodies. If they have this, you really need to separate them from the rest of the fish in the tank. They need to be in their own separate enclosure, and the best thing to do is to also treat with TetraGuard. Since this is a virus, TetraGuard doesn't help with that, but it does help with other infections and fungal infections that the fish may get, so that way they have a better chance of being able to fight the virus off. Other than that, a good thing to have for fish in a tank is a heater. If you're like me and you like to keep either the window open or the AC going at night when you're trying to sleep and you've got the fish tank in there with you, you need a water heater, something similar to this, and you need to make sure it's got the right size for your tank on it. It'll say at the bottom what size tank it's made for, so that way it knows what to heat your tank to, and it will automatically turn itself on and off when it needs to. And that is all about fish care.